Okay, so get water if you need it. We are. Awesome. You're going to come teach with me? Are you going to draw people?
I'm going to show my mom and dad.
Okay, can you grab these blocks and pull them out? Can you grab those blocks and pull them out? Nice job. Okay. There you go. I think you're now ready to draw away. You can use the whole board. Actually, let's use half the board so that Uncle P can have some of it, okay? All right. So here is your side over there. What does your name start with? Let's put a S here. What else comes? E. Then what? Then what? Oh. Oh, then what? Simone. Then this one's extra. Your board. That for free. It came along for free. Questions? Miss Mary.
When you're doing a lunge, my right knee is particularly elevated. Is there something you do to protect that?
Put your hands on the ground.
About my hips.
Put your hands on the ground. Mary, everything for you for the rest of your life now is about stability. Okay? It's not about getting more flexible. It's about getting stronger and more stable. So your lunge and even all of your standing poses, when you need to put your hands on the ground, you can do it. Or you can put your hands in your pelvis is the other thing. So hands on the pelvis is also very stabilizing. You have quite a bit of and cold like that. We made in Ayurveda, there are a whole class of herbs called gugulus. I'll write it here. So you can get them at Banyan Botanicals. Banyan. You need gugulu. Okay. Did I write it big enough? Okay. And silent E. She knows. That E came along for free. So Boogaloo, and I'm guessing for you, because it looks like it's a bit inflammatory, did they diagnose? Yeah. Inflammatory. Osteoarthritis. I think yoga Raj Boogaloo would be best. You can read about it though. Okay. But generally,
I know how to draw a O.
you can. What about a S?
I can't write a S.
Can you try? I put it one there for you to try. What other questions do you have? So does it make sense? That means fingertips on the ground, not palms. So if you put palms on the ground in a lunge, you know, that's too much weight. And you'll just pour your belly out. So instead, draw your feet toward each other, come up on your fingertips, and just go forward and back. Forward and back. Blocks would be the same thing. I don't want you to put a lot of weight in your hand. So I really like, you know, if you want to get higher, use fingertips. But maybe blocks are fine too. I think you can do long stances, but you gotta, everything's about strength, really, for you at this point. I don't mind you just doing like hamstring curls, where you lie on your belly. Quadricep curls.
When I started with Macy, I couldn't even stand on one foot.
Right. So at this point, now that you are stronger, that's what I'd like to see. A lot of moving in poses, which creates strength. A lot of pulsing in postures. So like if you're lunging, you can be here. You can bend your back knee and straighten your back knee. Bend your back knee and straighten your back knee, like that. Okay, like that. And it's, you know, the transitions are just as important. So you're here, and then it's step change, and watch your transitions, because it's in the transitions where you're going to notice your instability. How do you get in and out of a pose? That's where you're going to which is the same assist I did with Macy. I want her checking out. Pada, foot, angushta, the big toe, or the big thumb. Pada angushtasana. So you're going to grab your right big toe, Mary, or both hands behind your right calf muscle if you can't reach. Right leg up. You can reach your big toe with 2 fingers. Right hand. Pretty flexible. Right? It's a flexible. It goes beyond her right knee and her left. Face her face. Knee on her mouth. Right on her mouth. Her mouth. Her left hand at her heel. You line up your left foot with your work. There you go. So I'm teaching both of you. And even better, Macy, is if you turn your right hand to face backwards. It feels awkward. There you go. And not too close to the knee. So kind of mid-thigh bone. You all got it? Now what do I want? Macy's got a nice straight arm. I want Mary to push into her. And push into her. And push into her. We want Mary to get stronger only, not more. She's already flexible. She's floppy and joints are swollen. You see? So I don't mind, and actually, like, yoga to me for Mary is a liability. Thank God she has Macy as a teacher. Okay, change sides, change sides. So this is just this direction. There's also the out to the side and the crossing over. And all of those angles, I want her to have resistance that she pushes against. I wouldn't mind, as I said earlier, Mary just going to the gym with Macy, and Macy teaching her how to use the equipment. Because if you haven't been to a gym, it's intimidating to go to those places. And nobody knows how to use their equipment. And is the equipment clean, or does it stink? Or what is this place? And how come there are these dudes looking at me? You know, it's like awkward feeling. Good, and release. Okay, that's all I want. With you on the floor, body already is like. Oh.
Five-layer body with causal, astral, and physical body.
Well, for those of you that don't know what the question's about, we generally chant Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We chant 3 times. And part of that chanting, is this better, Nina? Is the audio better now? I can ask them. Is the audio better? Is it because, oh, should I talk into the microphone? So, y'all that are here and there, where we talk about 3 different planes of existence. And really esoteric stuff, by the way. So to the classroom.
He says it was better until you touched it.
Plane. And yet, there are these where it seems like time must have folded on itself somehow. Or I meet people that I seem like I've known before. All these kind of things open up the possibility of more than just the physical plane. And so these are actually described in places in the various Vedic tradition, but they're best described by someone who experiences them, which is not really me. To some extent, definitely, but I'm more just like on the same mountain trail with you all and have studied a lot of systems a little bit. So it's better to read about these things, right? Being like yoga. Because there's writings, I think that I understand something, and then I can read them again 3 years later and realize I didn't understand it. There's another that I didn't. Like that. And that's the same way with everything in Sanskrit, all of the things. So there's physical plane, and then there's the astral plane, which is this interconnected entity that I sometimes feel a part of, though it's not my dominant awareness or dominant consciousness. And then there's the causal plane, which is like the unseen plan behind it all. So those 3 planes of existence represent me chanting about my own journey and me chanting about these 3 different planes of existence. Is how do the panchakosha, the 5 layers, physical body, prana, the bioenergetic body, the emotional relational body, the intellectual discerning body, and the spiritual body, how do they relate to a plane? Think a lot. So, for example, identify as or explore 5 kosha or panchakosha, 5 layers. Already I'm starting to explore something beyond just physical reality or physical plane existence. I'm starting to explore some other kind of interconnectedness that's happening and talk about it more than just like a psychologist is, or more than just a philosopher is. There's some exploration happening that's really exploring more than physical. But causal plane, we won't really have it interconnects because causal plane is it is beyond what I can experience, really. Causal plane represents what's this whole soul through incarnations. How is soul taking mind at all? So certainly in the 5 layers, the more that I do my spiritual practices, the spiritual layer, the more I might start to be able to have glimpses of the astral plane or the causal plane. It's only through really subtle practices that I can No, there's no direct correlation, like physical plane, bioenergetic body, astral plane, like that. Body, for those of you that don't understand, it's all your breathing. It's ruling all of the movement within you. It's that which separates a physical body from a living body from a corpse. It's why an acupuncturist can address the lungs by using that movement which comes through to the thumb. That's not a physical thing, but it's very, very real and very, very powerful and has millions of case examples of being effective. Not only can they affect the lung, they can clear heat from the, not only can they affect the lungs, they can clear heat from the lungs, or they can clear dampness from the lungs based on different points on the channel. Okay? So that bioenergetic body is not directly related to the astral plane. In fact, I would say it's more closely related to the physical plane because it's about physical existence and physical life forms. Chip and emotional body with that. So largely has to do with the physical plane of existence. However, in terms of the astral plane, which I'm not an expert, by the way, there is like repeated times where I may be interacting with certain souls. Repeated times. It's not time that I embodied and was with some of you. Am I making sense? So that would relate more to that. And I think we see that when we look at Manomaya Kosha. The relationship body is where I start to sort and sift some patterns. And I might get glimpses at patterns and glimpses at maybe some people and some beings where there's some repeated overlap. Intellectual body, discerning body that I'm using now, I have to use that to even have a conception of 3 different planes, right? So that's how I would say it relates. And then spiritual body is the only way that I can actually ever even have a glimpse and a true taste. And the more meditation I do, the more I realize this, that as like Claudia Welch was this fantastic female Ayurveda doctor here, and her guru said, not even a bird flies over your head, but from karma. There's no accident happening anywhere. So there's this like multi-dimensional field that's just like everything's just happening, but there's not an accident in any of it. And so the more meditation I do, I go out into the same world, but it's no longer these random things happening. I'm actually in the flow of it, and I can see the interconnectedness of it. And that's what all great teachers talk about. All great teachers talk about this vast interconnectedness. And through absorption bringing practices, samadhi, that's when I can feel it. And that's when that astral plane becomes more aware. So very esoteric question from Melissa. Hopefully I did not lead you all too far off into improper directions, but I did talk about it as best I knew how. Yes, Anna.
I would say to go back to your
Physical. Can you be more specific? Shooting pain in the knee and hip all the way down to the toe, sciatica. Okay, so sciatica is that pain that comes because the nerve bundle, here's your jellyfish, and the jellyfish has a tail, your brain and spinal cord. And all those nerve bundles that go to the legs have to pass through the holes in your sacrum. You all know sacrum? has 8 holes in it where there used to be separate vertebrae. So a lot of the nerve bundles, not all, but a lot of the nerve bundles go leg to leg has to pass through it. Bony, thin creature. It's part, I want to reinforce her back in. And that's why moving micro bend and straighten, micro bend and straighten. The first class you did, your stances and everything were so wacky, you just kept falling. You that if you just do this level 1 flow, it will self-correct you. You will, it is organized in such a way and it is so easy to remember that you always need to reinforce toward your pelvis. And if you're in a lot of pain, it does not make sense to like overexert. In fact, overexerting is something we never want your type to do. Usually like 20 minutes of yoga or so could be enough. But right now, you likely feel the pain you do because of the change in the seasons. This is a very difficult time for your body type. Very difficult. And anyone who is vata vitiated, it's difficult. So it means that you need to have a hot water bottle that you put on your pelvis. Before you go out in the world, it's important for you to put sesame oil or some kind of oil on your skin. You definitely, if you're experiencing pain, sciatica, you definitely need to go from your lumbar spine through your pelvis and down that leg and all the way out through the toes. So it's oil treatments that are going to help, and you can do them before bed. Put on pajamas and socks so you don't stain your sheets. And that nice warm oil treatment will do wonders. You know, if you want to put it, you can heat it up. So you can let it sit. Pyrex dishes are a little safer. That know that they can take heat treatment. But honestly, like, that's fancy. Like, you can just put some oil in your hand and just rub your hands together. Okay? I'm too lazy to do all, like my staff, they love table warmers with those fancy, expensive crystals and, you know, all kinds of like essential oil diffusers going off and, you know, just everything, luxurious spa treatments. And for me, I will massage you in the middle of I-25, in the median, on the bare ground, because I believe that the skills of the practitioner are the most important things. And I could care less about all the fancy stuff. Yeah. So I promise you that if you do this level 1 flow, and if you don't try to do long, deep postures, but instead you do strong postures towards your focal point, that just even after 20 classes, you're going to feel really a lot stronger. Of course, now it's kind of funky and wonky. You're practicing yoga lab with people that don't know what they're doing, and they're trying to learn how. No offense to Lou. Lou's doing great. I'm just saying that's what's happening in this 10-day. You all are doing yoga, but you're also practicing body work and yoga lab and assists, and you don't really know what you're doing. And we're sitting around on this hard ground a lot, you know? So sit in a chair sometimes. There are chairs here. You can bring a chair in here. Yeah. Yeah, so there are more questions?
So sciatica in general.
Sciatica in general represents some problem with the sacrum down through the leg. So what we want to do is focus on something that is really safe on the ground to start with. That's why I really like for you all, when you're here, we're in that level 1 flow and we'll stop and we'll do this pelvic tilting. We'll roll through your lumbosacral joint. And just that, correct, if you have some slight torque. sciatica is made a lot worse when people do improper externally rotated postures. And there's so much of sitting around cross-legged in yoga studios, right? Like right now. So, for example, one-legged pigeon pose is where so many people, even when they're flexible, can hurt themselves. That's why I only teach it with your butt down. So just flex the foot, have your butt down, you're there, and I don't care if you look like this to start with. Then just gradually start to turn yourself. Okay? Until eventually, and I can't do, but eventually you can turn and look that way. I mean, Nina can do. Right? So sciatica, this is a great pose for alleviating sciatica. However, what we usually see is this foot fall asleep. Okay? No action, no muscular action in that foot. And then people just lying down over that leg, right? Which may provide a bit of temporary relief, but it did nothing to train the soft tissue how it should align.
How long would you hold?
If a person's warmed up, of course you can hold it for a while. Or if you're, like if we're practicing twice a day, every day, I mean, you really wouldn't even need to warm up that much. If it was, you could probably just do it. But this supported version is safe enough to even do right now. You know? Yeah, even being warmed up. Even for someone like me with major issues on the right side and major knee damage and things like that, it's still safe.
So if someone has sciatica,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
would you say hold it longer? Maybe is it more effective?
I think that the safest thing for sciatica are like core floor postures, including things like this, including things like this. They're super safe. You're not going to hurt yourself. And you're just exploring your body. You're just exploring how do the legs connect to the pelvis without any weight bearing. You understand? And then even a posture like this can really help with sciatica because you're seeing, am I really using my hamstrings and tracking straight forward, straight back? And I'm not doing any weight bearing in a way that's going to hurt or damage sense of sciatica. You can do the same thing even at the wall doing a moving bridge pose. I could put my feet up the wall, which none of these walls are good for. But let's say that's the wall, okay? And then I could pull myself up. I could lift my butt up off the ground. You see? I would pull my hips up. All insertion points into the pelvis without weight bearing. And so if you were to do any one-sided poses, whether it was rock the baby or that preparation one-legged pigeon, I'd want to make sure that she did something bilateral afterwards. And this is the real issue to address with Anna, is she's so hoppity, skippity, mobile. The mind just goes so fast around like that she really needs the discipline of a well-organized yoga posture progression that she commits to, and that she takes time in the transition and doesn't just like jump around. And that's where she's going to start to realize where the sciatica comes from. So her quick, fast, twitchy, mobile nature, and even attraction to things like that, is really being reflected in her body. So simple, warming, fluid, oily movements that are repeated are where she's going to build repetition, tracking, and strength. And the Yoga One Flow has all of that.
Where in the level 1 flow are you having a roll on there?
When we go down right before back bends, so after the hip work. Yeah, so I mean, you can't do it with the belt on, but I have a microphone on, so I'm going to keep my belt on. But it feels, it's right, and it's right after the hip opening postures for a reason, because people do aggravate asymmetry when they do hip opening postures. or externally rotated postures. So that's why I do this then. This is for you. If you just do the level 1 flow, it mindfully, slowly, and focus on muscle energy, you will correct it. But when you're in acute pain, we have to remember Anna's question, which was, when it's too much pain to do yoga? I mean, there are the sharp pains, or like I really can't stand on one leg pain, in which case you need to be on the floor all night. You follow me? And so the floor poses are safer. I can't say if you have pain you shouldn't do yoga, because there are people who would never be able to do yoga then. I mean, I live with a lot of pain that you all don't know. I do. I just live with it because that's just, I've had lot of traumas happen to this physical form. So, but it's okay. I don't tune into that channel. You know what I mean? Right. And now I don't have time really to do even a full practice. I loved doing Sarah's class last night, you know, but I do 15 minutes of yoga every morning, postures, and I have to make myself, I've been doing movement since 1990, like 5 a week. So after that 27 years, my body could be incredibly developed and polished. I'm in a place where I can barely stand on my right. It's like trying to line up 2 sticks and a ball. I can't feel how to muscularly engage because my nerve, I have either a previous really bad neck injury, which is most likely, or I got diagnosed with MS, which seems unlikely. But it's something. Left leg, no problem. Leg, no problem. Okay, I might lose a tiny balance, but I can find it. This leg, I make myself every day, and I have to stay here and I have to go. But I start to wobble, okay? And I almost never can feel how to fully engage the leg. So I do core work on the ground first. I get to a place, and then I make myself do this pose. Because it's more supported. Until I can eventually, hopefully, come straight up. But I know what I need to do. And it might only get me to being like just a tiny bit more stable. But as the body gets older, that's what each of you are going to have. I'm sorry to tell you that. There comes a point where it's just like, I just want to be a little more stable. Do your yoga practice like with a lot of intelligence at a young age, you don't, and you have the good karma to not have a lot of accidents or traumas, then your body will be really powerful and dynamic and long into life. And mine is even still. I mean, I work a lot. Yes, Sarah.
I have a personal question.
All right.
Is there a specific pose that I can do to improve or to encourage good liver health?
Good liver health. Well, I mean, obviously diet is going to affect that way more. I don't want to change my diet. Okay. Well, and the liver is going to be bothered mostly by bad oils. So really bad oils. You don't have an alcohol problem, but there might have been a little bit of use in the past. And so we like bitter herbs in general for the oil and for the liver. And we do oil flushing in Ayurveda eventually for the liver. But if there were a pose or a series of poses that we like for the liver, any weight bear on the liver, we like it. Or anytime you twist into the liver, we like it. The difference between one side lateral flexion and the other, we like it. So when you lateral flex to your right, you can really try to engage your right side and contract your right side body a lot. And you probably won't like it.
So
Squeeze, squeeze, release. This is why. Okay, but there's more than just twist. It's also, as soon as, which you can't do now. So I just talked about side bends, which is not a twist. Even lateral flexion, start working on contracting the right side when you side bend to the right. And we do those on the floor too, right? But even when you come down and you're doing cobra pose, I bet that you don't really like putting the right side of your rib cage down quite as much. And so really try to ground it down there and make sure you're equally long on your right and left sides. And then use the ground to check in and see if you're equally pressing down your rib cage and if you're symmetrical here or if you're not. Make yourself be symmetrical more or less. And then that's why I make you all do this, where you stretch out your right side on the ground and weight bear, and when you lift this right foot, it just puts more pressure into the liver. So I like you to weight bear on your sides. Good question. We have time for one more question. Yes, Amber. Yeah. No, this comes from Iyengar school. Richard Freeman, Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. John Friend, Anusara Yoga kind of is the one that really put it together in a sellable package and developed teacher training around it and all of that. And I think he did a great job actually with the languaging. So that's where you'll see 7 loops, 3 focal points, all of that most is from Anusara, which has been through a lot of changes, but okay. Yes, Michael.
I have a number of friends that are in their 70s, and they...
Good for you, man.
Thank you. They have problems with their knees, and I was wondering what... They're all in a place where they're ready for knee replacement.
Yeah.
So I was wondering what they could do, or what, is there any different strength or anything?
This is a great question. So I actually, for people in their 70s, and if their doctor said get a knee replacement and they can afford it and they have the recovery time and the support time, that's Western medicine at its best. I mean, that knee is probably so deteriorated that they're going to feel fantastic after that knee replacement. My father had both his knees done. He's a different guy. And they're really good at them now, knee replacements. But there is going to be a need for support, and there is going to be the trauma of surgery. If it was a little earlier and they were like questionable whether it was knee replacement, then I like those kind of people to do floor yoga postures, not do weight-bearing standing yoga postures. Standing yoga postures will make their knees worse. Floor postures might make their knees better. I also really like swimming with the giant fins on their feet so that they have to track through their knee like that in water. I also really like Pilates reformers. But that's maybe back when they were 50 instead of 70. Maybe there's them in their 70s. We have plasters, herbal plasters are used. We have really pungent, hot herbal oils that are used. If they have enough money to go to India and they don't want to do joint replacement, then I'd encourage them to go to India for a month to an Ayurvedic hospital in the state of Kerala. Any major Ayurveda hospital in the state of Kerala is fine. Certainly you can find smaller ones to go to too, and they can stay there for a month, get massages twice a day, body care treatments, steams, total diet change, everything like that, probably for around $1,000.
Oh my goodness. What?
Okay. Okay. My relatives in my wife's hometown, which is not even an Ayurveda center, are getting that done in a non-residential way for less than $500. They're just walking down 4 or 5 blocks to the Ayurveda center in their hometown. So, you know, there is nothing, we talk about this stuff, and I'm sorry we don't do more hand, but I try to do mostly hand stuff with you all. It's only 1% theory. So those people that have grown up doing this stuff since the time they were little kids, they were running around in the studio, like you see Simone and Everett, and I know it's a bit of a distraction, but do you all realize that this will be second nature to them when they get older? Okay. Okay, so I realize it, and we all need to adjust, and if it bothers you, then please speak up. Okay, but I believe more or less if we can parent and co-parent that there, you know, there's a usefulness in having the generations together. So imagine if you were in an Ayurveda center where they've just got all the food and the herbs and all the body treatments and whatever, and your little kid just kind of running around there. And you just learn, your mom asks you, hey, can you go get that plaster for me? Or hey, can you go get that oil for me? You know what all the things for. You look at the body that it's about to go on. You see, okay, that's a big body. That's what gets this one. This stuff you know before you're even double digits. And we're still trying to learn it. We're like, space, air, fire, water. So I really love just going to the jungle physicians, and I just, you know, just like be in their presence, be in the presence of great ones, which is not me. I mean, I love you all, and I'm so touched that you came to this class. I hope I inspire you to keep going, though. That's my real thing. You know, keep going. Don't rest with Pierre. Like, keep going out there in the world, okay? Well, it's time to get ready for yoga. We'll do the answer every day through Saturday, full hour. Sorry if any of you had